Hi everyone, this is Amitabh. We are on 9th of September at some early time. Uh, we are continuing with the same series, which is Man Walks into a Rabbit Hole. And like I always remind people, if you do want to understand what's the philosophical basis of, or what is the driver, not philosophical basis, because that sounds very deep, but what's the driver for this series? Do listen to our episode 1. It's a fairly neat summary, or at least neat summary from our perspective of why we think such a series or such a such a whole sequence should exist. So that's really it. Uh, I didn't have what I think might not be a long topic, but I did have a smaller topic, right? So the background for this is we have a neighbor, right? Neighbor as in somebody who lives in an apartment complex. A older couple, older as in, again, older is relative, but think they are in their 50s, early 50s, maybe late 50s, unsure. They're South Indian. Both of them are slightly short. Uh, I think they don't have kids, but that's kind of immaterial to the story. But I don't think they have kids. But I believe not I believe, I'm pretty sure they have 2 dogs. Now, what is very unusual about them is so they're South Indians, like I am, and or they're originally from some part of South India. I think they're probably exactly from where I am. But that's again secondary, irrelevant to this chat, but just trying to build their character, or build their uh, embellish their character in this story, right? Uh, so uh, so I see them often. I see them often. I see them during my walks. I see them every now and then. Sometimes we smile at each other. Sometimes we don't. It's kind of okay. Uh, Broadly, on the face of it, they're a very, very nice couple. I mean, in the sense that they're not the kind who would create a nuisance. They're not the kind who would debate a lot. They're not the kind. They seem very uh, inward looking, simple couple. They're focused on the dogs. They're focused on themselves. They're focused on what might seem like their happiness and moving ahead. Here's the catch, though. The catch is when you look deeper. So I've had the luxury of seeing them for, I think, the good part of 2 years. When you begin to look deeper, you begin to notice, I won't say unusual, but little things. Little things like they don't focus on the clothes at all. Little things like when I walk out of my door and on a weekend keep my pizza boxes out, uh, and if they ever catch me doing that, out as in out for garbage, uh, if they ever catch me doing that, there is just that glint of uh, maybe disgust is a very strong option, but there's that glint of disapproval. There's that shine in their eye which tells me that they have a slight bit of disapproval, that either I eat pizza or either I'm keeping my boxes out. Either of them. I'm not so sure what that glint of disapproval is for. What's the point? What am I driving towards? I know a few other people similar to this couple, right? So let's characterize this couple for what that means. And I know a few people who are very close to me. I didn't take their examples because, one, privacy issue, and second, possibly easy for them to guess that I'm speaking about them. But uh, uh, the characterization of this couple we spoke about is happy couple, non intrusive, no nonsense, simple, on the sidelines, does what they do what they want to do, care about a few things like dogs and whatever. I mean, they're personal. And I love dogs, so I actually admire what they do for dogs. But that's broadly the characterization, right? Now, on the face of it, or at the face of it, this sounds fantastic, right? Because this is ideally who all of us in society should be. Now let me wear my hat, which begins to judge people, right? So my worry, and I'm extrapolating what I've seen in my personal life with my close friends to this couple, right? My worry is sometimes this lack of participation in the broader society, or in the broader pleasure trap, as the right word goes, leads to what I call as extreme asceticism. So either it is a form of extreme asceticism, or it is sometimes monk-like behaviors while you still exist in a fairly pleasure-trapped society. And what I mean by that is, like, most of us like good clothes, most of us like good cars, most of us like good food, most of us like travel, most of us want to buy the new shiny watch, right? But this category of people avowedly stay away from these kind of things, right? And so let's make this a little more personal, right? So this is a rabbit hole, so we're digging deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. So let's make this a little more personal. I have been on a sort of similar journey, right? Like, I no longer spend a lot of money on clothes. I have realized that, one, I look however I look, pot-bellied and unshapely, however I look, but that's the way I look always, which means I'm obviously exaggerating and making fun of myself. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm never going to look like Harrison Ford at any age, and I'm never going to look like, let's say, Hrithik Roshan at any age again, right? It's never going to happen. So what am I supposed to do? So what I have learned is I buy decent clothes, which don't look cheap, don't look expensive, usually don't have a brand tag mentioned anywhere, and that's what I wear day in, day out. These are not very cheap, these are not very expensive, but they give a sense that I am decent. I am decent as in I'm decently wealthy, and I also give a sense that this is basically hopefully acceptable in most circumstances. That's the sense I try and give out. Now, I've tried to do that. I've similarly started staying away slowly, steadily from expenses into jewelry or watches or cars. Like, my car is a fairly basic car, though it looks slightly unbasic, but it's a very basic car. In fact, it's a rugged car which I spend very little on maintaining, and does the job beautifully pretty much anywhere in any circumstance in India. So someday offline we'll talk about what kind of car I drive and why that choice happened. But what I've done, so we spoke for a few minutes about what I've given up, right? But what I've done is I have invested all of these energies into what matters, right? Or what might matter. Like, I've become much deeper into music, so I invest a lot into speakers, headphones. I've truly started enjoying the sound stage, as they call it in these circles. So I've started enjoying different sound stages from different devices. I've started investing hugely into, I hope nobody bashes me for this, it sounds like a privileged asshole, but yeah, I've started investing a lot into whiskeys. I've started investing a lot into coffees. let's summarize where we have reached so far. Right? So we started with a couple who's kind of fairly ascetic and monkish, and we just took them as an example. This is really not to take any dig at them. They're actually a nice couple, so they don't bother me. They'll never bother me. They're very nice. That was an example. I have a few other examples in my life which are very similar. Then I quickly shifted to saying, look, I have also made ascetic and monkish choices in my life. But I've started investing in other things which start giving me immense joy along the way. And some of these are what the modern world or even the Greek world would call as hedonistic, right? So whiskey, coffee, music, expensive gadgets around music are all clear signs of somebody who's hedonistic. And my view is, if you don't have any hedonistic curve or timeline or anything, if you don't have a hedonistic experience in your timeline, you are gonna end up being dopamine and serotonin deprived. There's only so much serotonin in your system that you can fill up with meditation. There's only so much serotonin you can fill up in your system by staying calm. You need your dopamine, you need your experiences, and whatever those experiences might be. That experiences might be, for example, visiting the Northern Lights. I mean, I'm not so sure what your kind of experience is, but you need those experiences. The second quick topic, which and there are a few topics few ideas to cover around this, but the second idea which occurs to me around this is, would you rather stay for 110 years, live 110 years, or would you rather stay for 60, 70, 30, whatever is the right age, and have a reasonable life? I won't say a great life, like I'm not advocating a lifestyle like Jimi Hendrix or somebody who overdoses on something. I mean, I have no judgments on that again, but I'm saying I'm not advocating that. I have no judgments. That's okay. That's somebody's choice. But I'm not advocating that. What I'm instead advocating is live a life, have a normal life, love your dogs, love your cars, love whatever matters to you, be it a whiskey, coffee, wine, chocolates, food. The point I'm trying to make is, have some element of hedonism in your life. And that's my answer, right? I'm not trying to give gyan, or I'm not trying to say this is the answer. I'm trying to share my rabbit hole. These are a set of conversations where I'm sharing my rabbit hole, and I'm also honestly admitting that I probably don't know the answers, which is true. I genuinely don't know the answer, and I would love to hear what other people think about this rabbit hole. So, when you're hedonistic, a few things begins to happen, right? And when you're minimalistically hedonistic, like you enjoy a few things and you deep invest into them, and every time you cut down on something to become a monk or an ascetic, you begin to invest in something else which begins to teach you something better. So one more example, right? It just occurred to me. So I used to love sculptures. I still love sculptures a lot. Our house is filled with sculptures. Very expensive hobby, very expensive passion, whatever you might want to call it. And I love every single piece of art we have at home. But in the last 5 years, I've steadily, slowly weaned out of it, right? Because I've said this is way too expensive and way too hard to maintain. Your house becomes like a walking landmine. But whatever I have managed to save in terms of time or money, I have started investing in other things where I have found that they're easier to manage, right? So that's one. The other thing is, when you experience or prioritize or deep dive into hedonism, you also, in some sense or mechanism, I believe, underplay your anxiety and insecurity. And all of us have some form of anxiety, some form of insecurity, whatever those could be. Like there could be Anxiety about death, anxiety about accidents, anxiety about losing a loved one, anxiety about losing your dog, anxiety about losing money, insecurity about losing a job, insecurity about an earthquake happening, and I don't know how I will survive the next 3 weeks if my whole town is gone. All kinds of things are there, right? I took some really outrageous examples as in extreme examples, but there are all kinds of little insecurities and anxieties we all carry, right? And unless you're minimalistically hedonistic, right? Unless you can enjoy the edge of life is the phrase I often use in my personal circles. Like, unless you can enjoy the edge of life, you are gonna struggle a lot with anxiety and insecurity. So how did I guess, or how did I judge? And I hate myself for this, but how did I judge that the couple who lives next to me, who's my neighbor, is almost monk-like or ascetic? I see a deep insecurity and deep anxiety in their faces, in their behavior, in their body language, right? And for me, that clearly indicates somebody who's gone too far down the curve on giving up and being monk-like or ascetic. Now, and it's a spiral, right? The more you are insecure, the more you will give up. The more you are anxious, the more you will give up. You'll try and cut your experiences because you're trying to now, one, safeguard your resources, whatever they might be: time, money, age, health, whatever are your resources. And on the other hand, you're also trying to say, if I sometimes take these experiences, they give me a whiplash, which I don't enjoy, which means I buy a new watch, but the new watch breaks and it gives me a heartbreak, so I don't enjoy it. So that's the second point, or not second point, but that's a related point I wanted to bring up. I just wanted to bring one other last topic, and then I'll quickly try and end this. Related again. I remember reading this Woody Allen quote, right, long ago, that if you give up most things in life, you will live more than 100 years. And it resonated with me then. And then again, I think maybe about 5-10 years ago, I don't remember the exact time, era. I think it was a Vanity Fair article or a Rolling Stones article. Again, not sure about this, didn't do a Google on this. I read a very beautiful piece about Woody Allen, his interview. And his interviews are authentic, fun, like his writing is. And I know he's a controversial person, so I'm not endorsing him as a person, I'm endorsing his writing. Right. And what he said in that writing is very simple, right? He basically said that this is the writing. So verbally, he's given a quote saying somewhere that, look, if you don't eat anything, you're going to survive 100 years. And in the article, he clearly says that I have had less than 1 or 2 cheeseburgers in the last 30 years because I want to survive. I mean, I want to live. Cheeseburgers are not meant for me. I think when he gave that interview, I think he was close to 60, 65, or maybe 70. I don't remember the exact age. I'm not a big Woody Allen follower or a stalker, so I don't know what was the age. What I'm trying to say is there was this point where Woody Allen was almost trying to tell people implicitly that be hedonistic. And then when you went closer to his life, you realized he was also making some strange, bizarre choices, right? Is this good or bad? Should we judge Woody Allen? I have no idea. I don't follow his life closely enough to say I should judge him or not judge him. All I'm trying to say is, look, let's think about this, right? I think hedonism, or the pleasure trap, as the modern world tries to call it, is necessary, whatever that pleasure trap is, and whatever your resources allow you to. Now, this pleasure trap doesn't have to be like 30 different things, because then it becomes truly a hedonistic or a pleasure trap experience. But if you had 3, 4, 5 things you truly enjoyed, even better if you could enjoy it alone. Like, I can enjoy my whiskey alone, my coffee alone, I can enjoy my wine alone, I can enjoy my chocolate alone. I can enjoy my driving alone if you have that choice. All of these all of these or all of this is privilege speaking, right? So I understand that as well. I think from a person's perspective who's debating or fighting for the next meal, I think this is such a useless and such a idiotic chat. But this is still a rabbit hole, right? I think for most of us who can afford that meal, I think on the Maslow hierarchy, we are now debating what's the next step ahead, right? And my view is at some point we swing wildly and go the monk or the ascetic way, and I'm saying we don't have to go that way. So that was the rabbit hole. We'll probably visit this again at some point, but just wanted to share this broadly. It's been a lot of fun, as I always say, sharing my thoughts. Remember, this is my rabbit hole. This is not Gyan, or this is not a suggestion that you and I should do or you should do. It's something I really contemplate and struggle with. So hence it's a rabbit hole. And if you have thoughts, write and reach out. We'll figure out how to talk. As I always say, look, the medium doesn't allow a lot of conversations, but write in. We are Amitabh, AMITABH.MWRH@gmail.com. So do write in, and this is a wrap. Thank you. Thank you, folks.